What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler, and we are Facebook Live again. And today it happened. We've got Gary Harper on the live stream. Gary, what's going on, man? It's awesome to finally have you on.
Hey, thanks, Josh. I love that you guys are doing this. I've watched your last couple. The one with Avi, man, last Friday was phenomenal.
That was so good, right?
Avi.
He's awesome. We love Avi.
I put on there, I love me some Avi. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're super excited to have Gary on the live stream here. I'm going to have Gary introduce himself into detail here in just a minute. But if you guys are watching live right now, then make sure you are sharing this around. Give it a big thumbs up. I see the likes coming in, so make sure you do that and then share it because this is going to be a super awesome, not really a presentation, not really a podcast, but I have had Gary. I've been bugging him about this. Like, dude, you got to get on the podcast and talk about this. And you guys are, we've already titled the video, Parasites in Your Business. And so Gary presented this at our mastermind and it was November, I believe, right? Or was it August? Okay. November.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. I think it was November. And he presented this and the entire room just absolutely loved it. I think he had to leave a day early because of something going on. And that entire last day, because Gary presented on Thursday, he had to leave Friday, and that entire Friday, people were just like complimenting it and saying, man, that was awesome. And they were referring to parasites in the business the entire time, the rest of the day in their presentations. And, you know, some guys were like, oh, I got parasites in my business. How do I get them out and flush them out and stuff like that? So it's very relatable, and you guys better hold on because it's going to be intense. So I'm excited about this. But before we get into it, I am going to talk about a couple of things that are coming up for us. So our May mastermind, Gary is actually a part of our mastermind, and he is actually one of the founding members of Good Success. And then he started Harper, and he's been killing it over in Harper. If you guys have not checked out Harper Business Solutions, that's the company that Gary runs, and we'll have it linked below. Kevin's going to link it below right now directly to his Facebook page and then also his website. So you guys make sure you go check him out. But the Good Success Mastermind, so we bring in elite real estate investors from across the country into one room. And this next coming event is going to be May 9 through 11. It's going to be in Chicago. And so make sure you guys go check it out. goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You guys have to fill out an application if you have not already, because we don't just accept any and everybody that's done, 50 deals or whatever. We also vet your numbers, but we also vet your character, your personality, the type of person that you are. Are you a giver? Are you a good steward of what you're doing? Are you, community focused and all that kind of stuff? We focus on that and not just the numbers that are in the mastermind. So we're excited about it. We got a really good group that's going to be there, including, in addition to the already members that we have. And the community is growing. It's growing fast, and we're getting excited about it. We're already super happy about the community that we've already gotten so far. So May 9 through 11, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Go check it out there. You guys can find out more information. And then the next event that I'm going to be talking about is one that Gary's going to be speaking at as well. It's called the Community Go Giver event. And this is where we're going to be heavily focused on our community and building our community, not just geographically, but also our network. So there's going to be a lot of networking there. You guys hear us preach it on every single podcast. Network, network, network. And I know Avi talked about it for about 20 minutes on the last podcast. So you guys, networking is important. That's going to be happening at the Community Go Giver event. And that's kind of what it's all about. So Gary's going to be speaking at that. I believe we have him on the first day. So we're excited to have him there. And so the Harper Business Solutions team, which is Gary and Susan. So they're awesome together, guys. If you haven't seen any of their stuff, then they're just perfect couple, and then perfect business partners. So that's exciting. But they're going to be there, and then we're also going to be having Jim Ingersoll, Walter Walford, Jeffrey Taylor, Sean Waddle, Ken Lacey. Gary's going to be there, and then a few other speakers that we and obviously Tom Olson, the president of Good Success, is going to be one of the primary speakers. So we're excited about it. Guys, go to communitygogiver.com. Kevin's linking it below right now. The prices are going to go up in a few days. So they're going to go up $100, and then a month after that, they're going to go up another $100, and so on and so forth. And so you guys go check it out. Book your tickets. It is July 25, 26, 27. So it is in the summer, but the reason why we're starting to have you guys book now is because there's only 80 seats available. Once we hit 80, we're cutting it off. We're done. So we've already had a few sold tickets. So it's this early into it, and we're already getting sold out, guys. So make sure you go check it out, communitygogiver.com. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Gary, I hope you're ready because
Yeah.
I know everybody's ready right now. So hopefully you guys are watching. Again, welcome to the Facebook Live feed. If you guys haven't already, make sure you share it, invite your friends, and give this video a big thumbs up for Gary. So parasites in your business. Gary, I know that you have an entire outline that you shared with me, so I'm going to pull that up right now. So I'm going to kind of follow along a little bit and then chime in every once in a while, but I'm going to let you take over and just completely kill it, man. So let's talk about it. Parasites in your business. First of all, introduce yourself if you could for us.
Yeah, so let me just say this before we even get started with who I am. If you're sharing this is going to help two people today, right? It's going to help somebody that's struggling in business, somebody that has what we call a parasite in their business, but also, so if you know anybody that's stuck right now, this might be a play for them. The other person is really somebody might be ill or dealing with an illness. And we'll talk a little bit about that. It might encourage them as well. So share this out, get people listening, get people watching. It's going to help people not just in business today. So we got to start with the whole thing of what is a parasite. And my name is Gary Harper. I am the president and owner of Harper Business Solutions. My wife, Susan, is a partner. She's majority owner. And she's one, like Josh said, phenomenal business partner, but also a phenomenal partner in life. Been married 20 years this year. I'm excited to say that because she's put up with me that long, which is awesome. I'm hoping she.
Or is it the other way around?
No. I'm humble enough to say it's definitely her putting up with me. So we're very lucky and blessed to still have her by my side. But let's talk about this parasite. So this parasite in business, right? Well, before we know what a parasite can relate to business, we really have to relate to what it is. And the noun or the definition says it's a noun. It's an organization or organism that lives in or on another organism. And its host and benefits from deriving the nutrients at that host's expense, right? And the sub to that is it's a person who habitually relies on or exploits others and gives nothing in return. Now, there's another common name for this. Some people call it a taker in business, right? So there's a great TED Talk that talks about givers, takers, and matchers, and it talks about having a taker in your business. So same concept. I call it a parasite, and we'll tell you why. My story starts in 2012 for this. I had just won a thing called Century Club with a Fortune 500 company. I renewed 4 client contacts that year or clients that year. I was looking at a promotion possibly and taking my career to a whole new level. I was in the best shape of my life. I had just lost 90 pounds.
He looked good. He looked good. I promise, guys. I saw him.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was good. Obviously, I've gotten a little bit of that back, but all in all, I was in the best shape of my life. P90X in it every day, 35 years old. It was good times. But let's just say life was good, all right? And we'll move on from there. But honestly, guys, that's when the struggle began for me. It was a Saturday morning. I was feeling just a little off that morning. I got up, showered like I normally do on the day. And I believe what had happened to me that morning was like a little mini seizure. It was never confirmed, but that's what it felt like. I ended up being rushed to the emergency room, ended up falling out of the shower. Kids had to call 911. They had to take me to the hospital. Doctors couldn't find out why or this had happened or what even was going on. Now, these like little mini seizures, as I called them, continued on and on. And within a couple of weeks, they were visited by this wonderful little thing called panic attacks. And if you've ever had those, and guys, I'm being pretty vulnerable to you today because I want to help you. But if you've ever had a panic attack, it's not a pleasant thing, right? If you've never experienced it, it can be very, very, very overwhelming. And I was having up to 15 a day. And so I spent the next 6 months of my life and my life savings at that point searching for answers. And I did a thing, what we call hitting the ceiling. Sometimes we hit the ceiling in the business. We hit the ceiling. We hit the ceiling personally, and then sometimes departmentally. And hitting the ceiling is kind of trademarked by EOS, but I love it with Traction because it really describes really what was happening for me in my life at that time. But I hit the ceiling on an individual level. I found myself sitting across from a godly counselor, feeling completely depleted. I surrendered at that moment. I surrendered to feeling ill. I surrendered to that feeling of exhaustion, to feeling lost, and I ceased for just a moment to try to figure everything out around me. And in that moment, I was able to realize that, things were being taken care of. I had food in my belly, a roof over my head. And even though I wasn't where I wanted to be, I was still being taken care of. But I found myself hitting the ceiling with my health. And I struggled with it. And I went from doctor to doctor to try to figure it out. And the answer came, right? The answer came. The doctor said, hey, we've discovered something. We've discovered this thing called a Lyme disease. This is a parasite. It was a spirochete, to be exact. And a lot of testing was done to discover the seriousness of the disease. At this point, it had been months since I'd been sick. I think 6 to 7 months. We found out it was what we call late stage. And I, at this point, at very high risk of death. It had traveled down in my heart, my mind, my nervous system, hence the panic attacks and what I thought were like seizure type things. And my wife at this point was left with a husband that wasn't able to do as much as I was able to do before. I had won Century Club. I mean, you can look on my shelf even behind me here, Josh. You see all these like beautiful awards that are behind me. And I had won these awards by accomplishments through my corporate career. And now is nothing. I couldn't work. I had a mind of like a 5-year-old child. I couldn't be left alone anymore. Panic attacks and doubt and lack of confidence and all of what you don't want to see a 35-year-old successful man come to, right? And all because of this thing we call a parasite that invaded my body and has tried to take over. My wife at this point was trying to find other work to carry on after me. And in that moment, I discovered something, a very powerful thing, Josh, a very powerful thing called mortality motivation. And I decided not to quit, right? I decided to search for a way to survive. I decided, man, I am never giving up no matter what happens. I'm never giving up. And that becomes pretty emotional for me because looking back at it, it was very hard time in my life. Now, we have this same thing happen in our businesses, Josh. And we don't know what they are, but we know that they destroy our businesses. And I call them parasites. During my time of recovery from Lyme disease, I noticed some very familiar characteristics and many of the things I had seen in business, even going through corporate America. And as I started to get better, and I'll finish this story in a minute, but I want to relate it back to business, I came to the conclusion that business, just like life, could host parasites. And if it wasn't extracted, it could eventually kill the business, just like this parasite was killing me. There were many different types of parasites in business I discovered. Others might even call these parasites takers, like I mentioned earlier. Today, I really want to talk to you guys about the 3 most dangerous, what I call the most dangerous parasites in business that I've seen at this point. Number 1 is, are you the parasite? And I am asking you that question. Are you your own parasite in your business? Are you taking too much cash from the business? I coach people when I coach them to have a certain amount of cash on hand. We call it cash on hand. We're actually going to put that on their KPIs and measure that on a weekly basis because it's so crucial to make sure that we have enough business to run the business if we fall in hard times and keep it afloat. And sometimes we have owners, Josh, that are actually taking most of their cash out of their business. And it wouldn't live a day if it didn't have a steady stream still coming in. And then the other areas that we could be parasites in our own businesses when we're working so much in the business that we're capping the growth of the business. Sometimes we're parasites on our business because we destroy our own employee morale. Are you a dictator to where you're walking around and you're literally pushing your agenda so much that you don't care about the heart count of your people and your employees? Are you destroying the morale of people and pushing them so hard to get what you want that you're not worried about their likes or wants or what they need in business? And if these things are hitting real to you right now, you may actually be a parasite on your own business. Are you not letting go of your business? Are you not like letting go of the day-to-day stuff and limiting that business growth? Are you not providing a clear vision for your people, for your business and where it needs to go? See, without vision, people perish, right? And we have to have clear vision because without clear vision, we're actually, in a way, becoming a parasite on our business. Are you worried, and I said this a minute ago, but are you worried more about the head count in your business than the heart count? And I'm not saying you shouldn't have a healthy bottom line. Obviously, you have to have a healthy bottom line. But are you more worried about that bottom line and padding your pocket than you are about the people underneath you growing? When I interview people, Josh, I want to know, like, if I'm hiring a parasite or that taker, if you want to call it that. Some people don't like the word parasite. They think it's derogatory. I've heard that a couple of times now. But whether you like it or not, it is what it is. And if you want to know if you're hiring a parasite or a taker in your business, I will teach you something right now that can help you with this. It's one very basic question. Josh, you want to know what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's this question. When you're interviewing, just ask this question. Name 3 people for me that you have influenced the most in their lives. Not in your lives, but name me 3 people that you have influenced the most in their lives. And when somebody answers that question, it's going to give me the answer if they're a giver, that taker, or that matcher, or that parasite, if you will. And see, if somebody's a giver, they're going to name 3 people, Josh, that they've helped that they had no benefit from helping them. If they're a taker, they typically, or they're parasites, they typically name 3 people that are above them that they've derived or got benefit from when they help them. And that's a very simple way to rule out who are parasites and who you might be hiring, because that takes us into our next category. It takes us into our next category of what are parasites in business. And the question is, 1 is, are you a parasite? Number 2, do you have employees that are parasites?
Real quick, I don't mean to break your momentum, but when you talk about a parasite being the actual owner of the company, so what we just talked about, how do you correct that? Like, let's say the person's like, I am the parasite. I do everything that Gary just mentioned. I do all of that.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? What do you do at that point to flush it out?
Well, honestly, the first thing you got to do is you got to know thyself. And that's probably the biggest and most important thing, is knowing thyself, knowing that you are that parasite, because we're not going to act or change. I think Tom will say this: what you focus on expands, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you're focusing on not being that parasite, then that's when you're going to start to change. That's when things are trying to start to happen.
So pretty much it's a change needs to happen, because it's not like they can't just fire themselves.
Right.
I mean,
obviously you can. And some people should. Maybe some people should remove themselves from managing the business and just sit in the owner's seat. But ultimately, what I find most of the time, Josh, is people don't like that. They don't want to be a parasite.
Right.
And they realize it, and they're like, man, I need to change this. So the change starts to happen. And then there's going to be some people out there who just don't care, right? Mm-hmm. There's going to be a third section of people out there just like, I don't care, dude. I'm just using my business to make money. And you know what? Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's really not a business, and it's gonna end up failing anyway. So, and this is really not for a true parasite. You know, this is for the people that want to identify and change it. But if they're gonna stay that way, then it's nothing.
They don't need this anyway.
Yeah, none of what we say today is gonna help them anyway.
Yeah.
So, and number 2, employees that are parasites, right? So, here's what I'm looking for in there. Are they pushing their own vision, right? Or do you have like an integrator or something that's pushing their own vision in your business instead of your vision? That would be a parasite. Are they creating silos in your business, and segregating others from people? And that would show that there's parasitic activity. Are they turning the staff against you, right? And where they're talking about you behind your back and turning that staff against you. Well, that would be parasitic activity in your business. Is there no respect shown in front of the staff in front of you? So if you got a staff of people and somebody's standing up against you or out, constantly standing out against you in any way, that's going to show that there's maybe a parasite activity in play. Do you have employees that are takers and not givers? And we've talked about that. They're not getting their work done. You got employees that just aren't getting it done, and they're making excuses. And Josh, my favorite statement, that complacency equals death, right? Mm-hmm. And when you got somebody that's just not getting their work done, they become complacent. Boy, that is definitely a sign of parasitic activity. Do they not align with your core values? Do you have people on your staff today that if you were to ask them if they shared in your core values and they said no, those are people that I would consider a parasite on your business. And the goal here, with just like the first one, is to change that mindset, to change the way people are acting. And if people aren't going to change and you can't correct the behavior, then you've got to get rid of it. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Number 3, and last that I have today, is distractions can sometimes be a parasite. And this kind of goes back to my visionaries. A lot of times we have businesses that are working well, and we have great opportunity. It comes because of how well the business is working. And now because of that, we get tons of other opportunities. And I call those the white squirrels, or the squirrel effect, where a visionary sees a shiny object and they want to chase after it, And when that happens, a lot of times we'll allow another business to drain the resources, the time, the money, the energy, the materials away from our core business. And so let me put this for those real estate investors out there today. You have a wholesale business or fix and flip business, and then all of a sudden now you want an education business, or you want some type of business out there, and you don't want to have it stand on its own. So because it's young and because it needs resources, you allow that idea or that shiny object to rob the resources from your current company. So in other words, you pull the acquisitions guy out for a couple hours a day to go do something for you, or you pull somebody else out of dispositions to go do something for this other business. And when you're doing that, you're creating a parasite on the business, because it's robbing the time, the money, the energy, and the materials from the host business. And before you know it, it's gonna actually hurt that business.
So do you think when somebody comes across that, is that something where they got to probably hire out for that? When they identify that, okay, I am taking resources from this business and putting it into this business.
Right.
I mean, at any point, does that actually work? I mean, can people actually make that work, or is that always no, that can't happen?
No, I mean, that should never happen. That should never happen just from, for multiple purposes, but it should never happen. I mean, if you're going to start as a visionary, I'm never opposed to a visionary having multiple businesses. They just need to stand on their own, right? They need to have their own people, their own money, their own resources, their own time. They need to literally be able to support themselves just like they were their own business.
Gotcha.
Right. And so if it's a real estate company and you have a couple of different, you're doing fix and flip and wholesale, obviously that's within the same niche. So I'm not concerned about that. It's when we start to do things that are completely outside of the niche of what our host business is.
Yeah.
That I start to get concerned about. Right.
Okay. So that's the clarity, is that if it's if you have a real estate business, but then you start a roofing company, those are two totally different things. This business, you're buying and selling houses. This business, you're fixing roofs. Those are two totally different things. You shouldn't be taking resources from there.
Yeah. I mean, or it could be, I've had sometimes people, they'll this whole, oh, Josh, what's the name of this new investing coin that's got the big
Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin. So people will start an investing business like that, and they'll start using the resources from the real estate company to actually go out and research Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin or whatever, right?
Right.
And so when they do that, they're literally robbing the resources from this host company to benefit another company that has no niche. It's not even in the same niche as it. So
Gotcha.
that's what I'm referring to there. So other distractions that I've seen in business that can be a parasite is unbalanced home life. Now, I think this is probably one of the biggest ones, where we don't take time for our families. We don't take time for our kids, our wives, our husbands. And because of that, we create an unbalance. We create an unbalance that actually then comes back to affect the business. And because of that, now it's robbing us from the time we should be spending at work, because now we're out trying to correct those problems, because we didn't take time for our kids, because we didn't take time for our wives and our husbands. And because of that, now that negative relationship is coming back to affect our time at the office.
So I'm curious to hear how you balance this, because 20 years of marriage with Susan, and you guys seriously are amazing together. When you are, you've done stuff for Good Success and Olsen Group, and when you guys come, you guys are fantastic. And just everybody that's in our mastermind that's hired you says the exact same thing. But then you got 2 kids, right? So when you're away from that and then balancing the kids, because when you're in the business, you have Susan, but I can imagine that it's not always family. A lot of time it's just business because you're with her doing that. How do you balance those two things from your perspective? For somebody, let's say that Susan wasn't traveling with you.
Sure.
How would this look?
So honestly, what it looks like for me, first and foremost, I wouldn't do this business if she wasn't traveling with me.
Mm.
So I'll just be clear right there.
Gotcha.
I do it for the fact that it does support my family. It supports my life with my wife. It actually started the business. The Sharper Business Solutions is named after Susan Harper, so Sharper. And the reason I did it was because it allowed me to spend more time with my wife. And It gave me that freedom. But to answer your question, I believe in the power of three. And so I have I call it 3 to thrive. I want 3 quarterly big goals a quarter. I want 3 goals a week. I want 3 things I want to accomplish every day. I want to go on 3 dates a week. And that's how I try to balance my life with the power of 3. And so my wife, I want to spend at least every day doing 3 things. 1 with my wife, 1 with my son, 1 with my daughter. I want to go on 3 dates a week, 1 with my wife, 1 with my son, 1 with my daughter. And so they all have a specific time that they get me. There's this time that I have. And then another thing too, Josh, is I have decided a long time ago what my 100% is. And when I say that, I have decided how many hours in a day I want to work.
Yeah.
And I have decided, but there is nothing in life that's going to pull me away. When it's time for family, it's time for family. When it's time for God, it's time for God. When it's time for my own R&R, then it's time for that, right? And there's nothing that's going to allow me to defer from those. Now, doesn't mean I don't have to balance it and move it around. And obviously, if I have meetings on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I had a date with my daughter is usually Monday, then I might have to have that date on Thursday, right? But I still make time for it. I still make it a priority. And I make sure it's a focus of mine. Because if I don't focus on it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure we have focus around those things. And sometimes it's just a matter of planning it and making sure.
Yeah. So, but when it comes to unbalancing, that can go both ways then too, right? Because if you're unbalanced with the work life and the actual home life, it could be parasites on both sides. So a parasite from this side could come over here to the home life, and then a parasite from the home life could creep into the business life. So balancing it is definitely a science that people need to learn. Because how many times have you heard of a real estate investor having a problem with their marriage or with the time they're spending with their kids? And it's because they work more than they should. They don't balance that home and work life, and that creeps into everything that they do.
Which is why I say it goes back up to the first 2 parasites. I mean, if you're not letting go and you're limiting the business, if you're working so much in it, you're capping the growth. If you're not sharing in your vision, essentially you're being a parasite on your business, which is in return going to come back and affect your personal life.
Wow.
Right. And same thing with you've a lot of employees in your business that are creating silos and creating problems, and now it's pulling you back into the work. That's why those are the top 2. Now, if you get those,
that's powerful. Yeah.
If you get those 2 completely under control, and you're still you're still not taking time for your personal life, now you're going to allow your personal life to be a parasite on the business when even the business is running well. So, we allow those shiny objects to come in and pull us away from our niche. And then the last thing is the distractions is having poor meetings, Josh. Poor meetings that lead to no resolution or rob your employees' time from them. I hate that whole got a minute meeting.
Yeah.
Man, I get so fed up when I hear that when somebody says, hey, you got a minute? No, I don't. I really don't have a minute. Because why do we have meetings? We have meetings to solve issues.
Yeah.
And how can, we have a bunch of these got a minute meetings, so far too often we go into these meetings just to discuss things and we don't walk away with a resolution. If you have any meetings going on in your life and your work schedule right now that doesn't have a problem statement and a desired outcome and a time frame of when it's going to start and finish, you should not enter that meeting. I just as far as going, just no, I can't do it until I get a problem statement, a desired outcome, and a time frame of where we're going to meet. If you can get those 3 things, then enter that meeting zone. But if you can't get those 3 things, then that meeting is a parasite on your day, on your time. And it's really just showing no respect for you and your time. So we got to make sure that we get rid of those distractions. So just to recap, we got to make sure we're not parasites. We got to make sure that we have employees that aren't parasites. And last, we got to make sure the distractions in our lives aren't parasites.
So if you have any of that, you need to be paying attention to the rest of this, because that's extremely powerful. I mean, that everything that you mentioned, like I can almost guarantee you that if you're watching or listening to this right now, that one of these has affected you in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you've already gotten rid of the parasite, but it's still important. Like and Gary, I don't know if we're rushed for time, but something that I thought about was, let's say for instance, you don't have a parasite yet. How do you prevent a parasite? So we're talking about the employees, we're talking about yourself, or any of the other things that you mentioned here that with, past the employees, the distractions. How can you prevent parasites to even coming into your work or home life so that you don't have to solve these problems when they come? You could be proactive instead of reactive. So how is that something that you can work on that?
Yeah. So, the crazy thing about parasites is we don't always know when we've acquired one, right? The thing is with them is understanding the signs of what they are so that you can try to head them off at the pass. But even more importantly, getting rid of them as soon as you start to notice that they're there. And that's probably the worst thing about having a parasite is that we procrastinate.
Yeah.
And the damage that it does while we're procrastinating. So let's talk a little bit about, going back into my story a little bit, Josh. Now we've talked about parasites in business.
Yeah.
What do we do next? What did I do next? Well, it came down to either fighting or dying for me, right? And I would just, as I said earlier, I would not quit. Even when I lost my memory every day and I had to record things, Josh, so that I could learn it again and again, I still became an expert on the parasites so I could defeat it. I was not going to let it defeat me. I spent the next 9 months going from doctor to doctor. Extraction of the parasite calls what we call a Herxheimer die-off reaction. It's painful. But even when I thought I was losing, Josh, I decided to fight until I won. I surrounded myself with people that were positive. I received motivation from people around me, and they encouraged me to keep pushing forward. And that's what you have to do. You have to surround yourself with positive people. I remember my son making me this little card, and he rolled it over to me and hit my foot, and it says, "Keep on driving towards your goal." And he said, as I wrote down, "Don't quit on the process, Gary. Someday you're going to look back on all the progress you've made and be glad you didn't quit." And guys, when you're going through this parasite in your business, sometimes you just want to quit. Sometimes you just want to give up. It's just too hard. And you can't do that. You have to just go through the process. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that process. You're like, shocker, Gary has a process for this? Yeah, I'm a process guy.
You got a process for everything.
I have a process for the process. So, yes. Of course I do. Discovery of the process or the parasite is a process, right? Don't get hung up or let this process take too long, guys, to get to searching for the solution. This process, if it takes too long, can create major damage in your life. So first and foremost, parasite discovery process. One is the very first step in discovering the parasite is usually betrayal. Betrayal or shock. I can't believe that person's a parasite. I can't believe I'm a parasite. I can't believe I allowed this distraction in my life. It's betrayal or shock. Number two is denial. A lot of times we go through, I just can't believe that person's that way. Or I can't believe that that's going to create that much damage. Or I can't believe that distraction is going to affect me that bad. Just disbelief, really. And almost to a term of suffering. Like almost like they're suffering because they're in such denial.
Right.
And then the next one, which is the worst stage of it, Josh, is the procrastination. Procrastination and the suffering continues, and now you become angry. Because you don't want to do anything about it, you actually start to get bitter. You actually get angry at the situation. And then last but not least, you start to search for answers. And then a resolution comes. But what I'll tell you is the danger in this process is in that denial and that procrastination stage. The longer you live there, the more damage that's done.
And procrastination is a problem in itself. So that's a bad thing in itself. But then you add all these things on top of that, and then the outcome of procrastinating, that's a place you don't want to be.
Well, again, remember, what does a parasite do? The parasite robs the host.
Yeah.
After it robs enough of the resources from the host, it eventually kills the host.
Yeah.
So we don't want damage to be created in our business because we don't want to act, because we decide to procrastinate. We have to start searching for that solution as quickly as possible. And that includes extracting the parasite. What should you do at this point? You asked this, Josh, fight. You ought to fight at this point. Fight for what's right. Fight for your business. fight for all that you've worked for, and extract the parasite. And I don't care if it's painful. Any change is painful. Push through the pain. Fire yourself if you have to from working in your business. If you're such a parasite on your business that you can't be in it anymore, fire yourself. Get somebody else that's going to treat that business with respect. Separate yourself from separate yourself from takers, from those parasites. Get rid of them out of your business. Don't allow people to be takers in your business. You've worked way too hard to build a legacy for you and your family. You should not allow takers to come in and rob you of that. Next is you have to manage up or manage out the employees, guys. You have to, if you're unsure, manage them. Manage them either up or out. Quick to fire, slow to hire. We've got to get these takers and these parasites out of our businesses if they're not going to change. And then separate other businesses from robbing your resources. Guys, if you have other businesses, if you've allowed to creep in, and when I was talking, you started identifying what these businesses were, and you started to realize that you had an actual parasite or distraction as a parasite on your business, you've got to start to separate it today. And now I'm not telling you shut it down, but just pull it away. Get it off of ciphering the water, the energy, all that stuff from your host tree or your host business. And then eliminate distractions and get rid of those got-a-minute meetings. Guys, there is such a more effective way to have meeting structure and communication, and you don't have to have those got-a-minute meetings. And I highly encourage you today to extract that process away from your business. Now, I hated, Josh, I absolutely hated the Herxheimer die-off. But I knew if I didn't go through it, I could not get better. I needed others to support me through that time. I looked for counsel and guidance, and I knew things would never be the same. But they could be better. It took me 2 years to get back to a normal pace from the time I discovered the parasites in my life. And I had to accept that this would be my new normal. And I'm going to tell you, in business, you should embark on the journey to discover a new normal. You should embark on the journey to get rid of the parasites and to make your business solid. The journey will take time, though. There is no quick fix with this, and there will be casualties. I have to emphasize that there will be casualties. You will have to protect the good people in your business. You'll have to protect the profit of your business. You'll have to protect the productivity while going through this change.
And I think that's the key thing there is that you've said protect multiple times. And that to me is going to be worth it. Like it's almost like getting an operation done, I guess. I mean, I love how you're able to, compare your actual experience with Lyme disease with like business in general and compare that whole situation. But it's going to hurt a little bit as soon as you start doing it. And then it's just going to get better though. Like once you eliminate that parasite and pull it out of the business, then it's like, you're going to be glad that you did it. So you got to do it. But how many times have we have a couple of guys in our masterminds that have parasites in their business, and we've been hearing it from them for the past like 3 or 4 events that we've had. And I mean, events are like 3 to 4 months apart. So we're talking almost a year that these guys have had parasites in their business, and they won't do anything about it because I think that number one is they're procrastinating, and they're just scared of what the outcome is going to be, and they're not sure of what the outcome is going to be. So, I mean, I totally what Gary said, just make it happen. It's going to hurt. It really is, but you just got to get over that and make it happen.
You know, Josh, I was asked one time, why do we allow the parasites to stay when we know that they're there?
Yeah.
And honestly, what it comes down to is we get complacent in ourselves and we accept the status quo. We accept this below par standard that we've allowed to become. Gotcha. And that is a dangerous, dangerous place to be. You should never accept that. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, listen, through this experience, I promise you it will be worth the time in your investment. The new normal will provide clarity. It'll provide harmony and peace in your business. And Josh, I like to wrap it up by giving what I call lessons learned, right? Because what is a better way to learn something from somebody else when they've gone through something like this themselves?
Yeah, now, absolutely.
I have to tell you, I've gone through this in my personal life with this actual parasite, Lyme disease. But I've actually gone through it in business now too. And it's sad because I started to notice, have you managed as many employees as I managed in Chicago for all those years and even running my own businesses? I've had these parasitic activities or parasites happen in my own personal life and my business. And I'll tell you, this is a lesson I learned. One, it's discover the parasite as soon as possible. Might be looking for it.
Go look now. Like, stop what you're doing. Stop this live stream and just go look for it now. I promise you, you want to do it because you're motivated right now. Gary's got you motivated, so make it happen.
Yeah, look where are they? Are they in my personal life? Are they in my professional life? Are they in my business? Are they my people? Are they me? Where do I have these parasites? Where are they robbing me of my time, my energy, my resources? And I'm going to link it back to something here in a minute why this is so important. But get advice and find the prescription that works best for you. You know, I had to find like 8 different prescriptions to try to help cure my Lyme. And the same thing with business. Not one thing is a solution to everything, right? So, you know, most of the things that are solutions out there are boxes, and you got to figure out a way to find the right solution for your company. When I help people, whether it's with business systems or processes or training on leadership, I don't just say, okay, yep, everything I do is a fit for you. No, it's not. Sometimes it's pieces of what I do that are best for you. Or sometimes it's not me at all, right? Sometimes I got to push my own ego down and say, hey, I can't help you, but somebody else could. Maybe I don't have enough experience to help them. But somebody has a prescription out there that's going to work best for you and your business. Next is don't quit just because you don't see improvements right away. Like, I hate that. Sometimes some people give up, like, before they even really get started because, like, well, this isn't working. But you know what? It's a journey. You have to allow it time to work. Mm-hmm. You have to build trust with the ones that stood by you through the journey as well. So while you're on this journey, man, build trust with those people. Tell them you appreciate them. Tell them you love them. And reward those that didn't give up on you. Now, the other lessons I've learned is allow the struggle to teach you and be willing to learn the lesson. So many people go through struggles in life, Josh. They come out on the other end and they don't take the time to document the lessons they could have learned through that struggle. And it'll help you. It'll actually help you spot future parasites. And last but not least, when you come on the other side, be grateful for the blessings of going through the storm. I can tell you, being on this side of that disease and recovering from it, I can tell you there is huge blessings of going through the storm. You get to help others. You get to now give of your life and share your experience to help people grow and succeed. And I said I was going to tie something back here, and I want to do it. When we get to the end of life, because I've faced that now, I have actually faced looking at the end of life and the possibilities of not being here anymore. And I'll tell you one thing, there's only one thing when you get to the end of life that you wish you had more of, and it's time. Please stop allowing people to rob you of your time, because it's the only valuable resource you're going to want more of when this time is up.
Man, that's so good. I personally think that time is more valuable than any other resource that's possibly out there. Yeah. Like that's so valuable because time equals money. I mean, you've heard the saying, but that's extremely valuable to hear that, is that don't let people rob you of your time by allowing parasites to take over, you know, your business. So that's awesome, man. That's good stuff. So anything else you want to add, Gary?
Oh, man, I just want to make sure that people realize that these are real. This isn't just a cool way of looking at business. I think it is. I think it's a great way to relate to business and personal. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is very real. And we have to take this very seriously, and we have to act on it appropriately and be knowledgeable in how we act. But I hope this was a help to you and your listeners today, Josh. And if anybody out there is struggling with Lyme disease, I have a website called lyme2light.com. It's a Lyme, Lyme, to light.com. It talks a little bit about my personal struggle. I'm pretty vulnerable with it. I have some lessons learned on there, and I have some Bible studies that I did when I was going through it that helped me through it. So if you think it would be a help to you or somebody else that might be struggling with Lyme, I don't give advice on medical or anything like that. Obviously, it's just my journey. And then also in business, if you're struggling in business today, if you've hit a ceiling, if you want to figure out a way to stop working in the business and work more on the business, or you're having problems with parasitic activity, and I can be of resource to you, I can be of help to you, you can reach out to us at sharperprocess.com. Hit us up on Facebook at Sharper Business Solutions Facebook. We're on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, so you can hit us up on any one of those. Or you can just reach out to me at gharper@sharperprocess.com. and I will be here for you. I will hope to be an aid to you and bring value to you and your business.
Awesome. And we're going to have every single one of those linked below. So if you guys are interested in reaching out to him on any of his social platforms, we'll have it linked below for you. Kevin's doing that right now. And then also his websites that he mentioned, sharperprocess.com, and then also Lime to Light is going to be on there too. So just an incredible story. I mean, I hope you guys latched onto that. I personally thought it was amazing. I really needed to get Gary on here on this live stream to talk about this, because every time I've heard him talk about it twice now, I believe. And every time he's talked about it, I actually learned something new about it. So parasites are not a joke in your business. I guarantee you, Gary, that every single person that's listening to this podcast right now, whether it's live or on the podcast or the post video that Facebook produces and posts to our platform, I can't talk right now, that every single person knows a parasite. Like, if it's them, if it's somebody that they're working with, they know a parasite. So that's why I think it's extremely relatable to business in general. And that's just incredible how you've been able to take your personal life story and pair that with business solutions that you're able to utilize when you're actually facilitating other people's businesses. So it's awesome stuff.
Can I just say this too? I've got an opportunity here with a platform here to say thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to the people that were in my life that helped me, Jonathan Smith and my doctor, Mike Streeter, and my mom and dad who were there for me through that hard time, and my brother-in-law, Wayne, who stood up and helped me out in business, and my sisters. But more importantly of all those people, my wonderful, wonderful wife. You know, she stood by me, and she didn't have to. So
that's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. And that's just so incredible. If you guys have not, like I said, if you guys have not seen them together, like, you're missing out. It's totally awesome. We actually, I saw a video that you guys produced for one of your Sharper tip videos that's on your actual Facebook page and YouTube page. And we'll have that link below for you guys. You guys have to watch that. These two do a tip video together for their Sharper Business Solutions business, and it's great. And that's just a little bit of a taste of actually who they are. And I can tell you right now that on the video, they're the exact same people that they are in person. So it's awesome to see. So sharperprocess.com. Gary, thank you so much for sharing this with us, man. We finally did it. We finally got this to happen. So we've been wanting to schedule it for a while, and we're excited to get this out here for everybody to hear. So.
Yeah, I can't believe you talked me into it. So it's like the most emotional presentation I do. Right? And I am not a vulnerable person, man. And look what you've done to me today.
Yep. We made it happen. I
won't do it again.
I had to pull some strings. Yeah, he's not doing it again.
Exclusive. This is exclusive. It will never happen again.
Well, it's awesome that we got to have it on our platform. So yeah, making sure that
just for you, Josh.
Dude, you're a rock star. I love it. So anyway, but that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. Gary, again, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I know that this does make you vulnerable. It actually tore everybody's heart when you did this at the mastermind. I mean, there were tears in the room. I know that you choked up a couple times, and it's totally relatable because it's your life. I mean, so that's just, I keep saying it's incredible that you've been able to parallel that with business and help people in their businesses through your story like this. So that's awesome. Gary, thank you for being on, and we're going to have you back soon because we got the Community Go-Giver event that's coming up. So we're going to be doing another podcast with you to talk about what you're going to actually be talking about at the event. We have not scheduled what we're going to be talking about for you and the other speakers specifically, but that's going to be happening soon. So we're excited about it. But you guys know Gary is going to be there. So communitygogiverevent.com. You guys go sign up and get the tickets now because we only have 80 seats, and you're not going to be able to see Gary there if you don't buy your tickets now. They're selling out quickly. So make sure you go do that. And then also the Good Success Mastermind is coming up. Our next event is May 9 through 11. Gary, I hope he's going to be there. And yeah, awesome. So Gary's going to be there. And so you guys, if you are interested, make sure you go to goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You can check out the mastermind there. Fill out the application. We don't let just anybody in because we want to vet everybody's character, who they are as a person, their personalities, their core values. We talked a little bit about core values and how that can be a parasite as well as if you hire somebody that doesn't have the core values. And so we vet that as well. And then also the numbers, because everybody that's in the room is an elite real estate investor in some way, shape, or form. But they are also fantastic people, and we love them to death. So that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. If this video did bring you value, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, and then also share this video. This is going to be going to a podcast format after this has been produced and published. So We want to thank you guys for listening in and joining us on this live stream for Facebook. We're going to be doing this again very soon. And Gary, thank you for being on again, and we'll have you back soon, buddy.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much, Josh.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. And remember, whether you're looking to survive, thrive, or matter, our goal is to provide the tools to reach your vision. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.